And that's when the narrator gives us a tiny little addendum to last chapter's portrait of Uncle Andrew. Because after the children kind of start to realize, the narrator says, Uncle Andrew, you see, was working with things he did not really understand. Most magicians are. So this kind of builds out the portrait from what we observed in the last chapter about the nature of magic in the land of Narnia versus outside the land of Narnia, and that people like Uncle Andrew and his fairy godmother outside of Narnia are dabbling in things they don't understand and using inadvisable means to do so. This is in contrast to how magicians are portrayed in the land of Narnia, where Aslan has instantiated this different set of natural laws. There aren't a lot of wizards or magicians in the Narnia stories. The two main ones that will probably come to mind for most readers would be the two magicians near the end of The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, the two magicians on the islands near the world's end. Both of those magicians, though, actually aren't humans who manage to attain magical powers somehow, but they are actually stars from the heavens which have come down to Narnia. And so these are magical beings by nature, quite unlike Uncle Andrew. In that sense, they have a little bit in common with the class of wizards to which Gandalf belongs in The Lord of the Rings, the Maiar. And then the only other, really, that I can think of at least, the only other wizard-like or magician-like being in Narnia, unless you count the centaurs, the only other one would be the Hermit of the Southern March from The Horse and His Boy. The hermit seems to be some kind of magical person, but we don't get any real details about his backstory or whether he's a man or whatever. So maybe the hermit would be the one example of a wizard in the Narnia stories who isn't some kind of celestial being from the heavens. But anyway, it seems like the comment about Uncle Andrew put here in the last of the Narnia stories that Lewis wrote, it seems like that comment there is meant to apply primarily to magicians outside of the magical land of Narnia, that land which Aslan created around these magical laws of nature, the laws that, as he explained to Lucy near the end of the Dawn Treader story, he shows up and he turns visible from the magic book, and he explains to her, well, why would I break my own rules? So basically he's telling her these are the rules or the laws of nature that he's instantiated for this creation that he made, so that even he becomes invisible when there's an invisible spell in the air, that kind of thing. But then the Narnian magic has no effect outside of Narnia in places like London, where those laws of nature don't operate. But anyway, so people like Diggory or Professor Kirk, who he grows into, people like that don't choose to dabble in the pursuit of the kinds of magical arts that Uncle Andrew and his fairy godmother pursued, presumably through dubious means, because people like Professor Kirk recognize that such things are outside the path of wisdom, outside the purview of goodness. Anyway, so Diggory suggests trying it with the other rings, try and jumping in with the other rings just to see what happens. Maybe it'll, and Polly's reply is,